And that is why I'm suggesting to everyone listening to me today, don't be that person. You can stand back and not prove to anyone that you have to be called something. What would be cooler is if you just inform them by your actions and force them to actually abide by your principles by force of will through the way you act,
Mm,
and see people come to you because they see inside you that you are granite. So this excessive emotion usually hurts the person doing it, and you're also creating a boundary between you and the person you're speaking to. And by the way, as soon as you tell someone that you want them to act a certain way, you have defined the relationship and you have put a limit on that relationship. Because how do you know what that person will say if you just allow them to come at you naturally? But if you keep trying to control the narrative, try to control your pronouns, and try to control people, you ultimately are not getting an ideal interaction. You're getting a completely artificial interaction. And that I find is sad because I won't get to know people if they're on the defensive. I only get to know people when they want to speak to me. And I would recommend to everyone, why don't we go back to saying hi to everyone? And why don't we go back to going, hey, they're a liberal. Hey, they're a Republican. Don't I don't look at that cover as the assessment of them. I'm going to read their book by getting to know them. Why not? And you might actually like a Republican, or you might like a Democrat. But you got to read the book. And today we just read the cover and then we just fly off the hook.
or
We
just
use
the
our bias.
yeah.
That's it.
We read the reviews and the headlines. We don't even read the cover or the back. That's all such good points. It's so powerful because I think if we could move past these labels and these little boxes we put ourselves in, we could start to expand not only our mindsets, but share ideas. So, for example, getting out of the box of Republican and Democrat, of which I am neither, and I don't want to be associated with either. I'm team humanity. I'm team America. I'm about what's best as a collective, society. So I think if we were to unpack certain, I guess they're called policies, but rights and ideas that should benefit America. And if they were not tied to a political party or agenda, I think people might be more accepting of them. But that's not how we're trained to think. We're trained to vote the party line or vote for our team and be mad if the other team is winning or has some sort of win. So, another thing you talk about a lot is the right to equal access. So, it's a powerful statement on digital inclusivity, right? So, we're talking about equality and the concept that people can determine a lot of what their world is like by the decisions that they make, by the mindset that they have. So, in the digital realm, what does true digital equality look like to you? And how would achieving it transform society?
So the only thing that hangs me up with what I'm about to tell you is what would be the definition of hate speech or speech that we all of us agree should be taken down, which of course would be sexual content. I know a lot of them, but I do know there's a slight gray area of what is hate speech. But if you guys could just allow me the privilege of just saying, I think we all can agree the definition of bad hate speech, of stuff that would absolutely be taken down by both sides that Republicans and Democrats could agree upon. And if we could have that baseline, that starts my answer. So if hate speech is understood, then really there's nothing a Democrat or Republican could say online, even if it's in bad taste, that should in any way be policed. If the content is actually adult content, then of course it should be policed away from children. But ideas shouldn't be policed. If someone is a communist, a socialist, a fascist, what do you care?
So, what about just complete inaccurate information? Like, aside from hurting people, right? There, or hate speech and things like that. What about someone who is giving false information? At what point do we set guidelines there with people's ideas?
Well, you see, this is what's so interesting, isn't it? So let me ask you a question because because this is so cool. So we right now have a system that YouTube, for example, if all the political YouTube videos that we've all endured in the last 3 weeks all have a disclaimer that there are U.S. elections occurring, and YouTube's telling us the history of elections. There's a little blurb at in every little video telling you that the U.S. elections occurring, and do you want to read more? So my question, though, is this: is so they put this disclaimer on, and everyone is supposed to think, well, because this disclaimer is on, this is a controversial subject, and YouTube is going to be the actual, I don't know, arbiter of truth on elections. I mean, wherever they send you, whatever they say, is that going to be the definitive voice on it? Well, unfortunately, I definitely know a lot of people disagree what YouTube has said on the election piece. So the truth is, no, that's not gospel truth neither. So what I have discovered, and this is true throughout the ages, if someone is acting up in social media, eventually with comments and with people, they're going to react, they're going to be discovered, and they're going to be canceled by their own stupidity of putting up bad facts. What I mean by that is bad facts cancel themselves automatically. It always happens. So this idea we have to police with a police force is a very tricky item, because where do you stop and where do you begin? So from my perspective, my question is, unless there's definitive hate speech that we all agree on, both sides, then why does a post have to be taken down if there is a communist idiot that's talking about communism and a fascist idiot talking about fascism? And why do we have to be concerned? It is, and if people are worried that that idea might spread, well, the problem is, and I hate to admit this to everyone, but we haven't stopped the spread of anything. And in fact, with WeChat and all of these alternative social media sites, we just pushed these views.
We've segmented them.
We've pushed them to we pushed them to the dungeon. And that was a really bad thing to do. I don't think it was so smart. I wouldn't have done it, because by pushing those views out of the mainstream, you no longer know what's being said. And the best way for a society to cleanse itself is for all views to be posted. Again, within the context of Kim of not bullying people and not terrorizing people.